TV and radio newscasts in the United States in 2077 reported that the president was missing and that nuclear weapons might be launched shortly. On the other hand, the host of a party asks people to enjoy themselves and shuts off all electronics. Cooper performs his cowboy performance for the kids in the garden. Following the end of the concert, Cooper sees in terror that a bomb explodes in the city, ending the world. More explosions can be seen in the distance as Cooper and his daughter depart on their horse. Spoiler ahead! Watch out! 219 years later, a small segment of humanity resides beneath the ground bunkers called vaults due to the increasing danger of the surface. Lucy resides in Vault 33. She requests permission from the council one day to take part in the triennial trade with Vault 32, which should enable her to find a husband. The council grants her permission. In addition to helping Lucy get ready for the event, Lucy's family plans a small celebration for her. They then lead her to Vault 32's entrance, where she meets Manti, the man who will become her husband. Manti joins Vault 33, and after a marriage ceremony, the families enjoy the party. As everyone is busy, Manti and Lucy head to their room and promptly get into romance. When Norman, Lucy's brother, visits Vault 32 in the meantime, he is astounded to see a lifeless wheat field. The closest house is a mess, looking like someone had looted it when he walked in. He learns that the vault leader has been killed when he walks to a room in the back. Suddenly, Lucy hears some noises and yelling in the distance. She hears gunfire soon after as well, so she grabs her Pip-Boy computer brace and looks at Manti. He turns out to be from the surface, which means that he and his family are raiders who have infiltrated the vaults. After an attack with Manti, Lucy defeats him. Lucy leaves the room to find that this vault is also being destroyed and that many of her loved ones have died. She takes out her guns and kills a raider on the way. Norman is attacked, but Lucy shoots the attacker first and then makes Norman hide. Manti catches her and attempts to kill her, but Hank, Lucy's father, knocks him down. Next, Hank and Lucy discover that the raiders have seized a number of hostages as they run to the corridor connecting the vaults. Hank is forced to pick between Lucy and the hostages by the raider leader Moldover, and he decides on Lucy. He puts her in a closet, and the raiders use tranquilizers to knock him out. Then an explorer destroys the place. Afterward, the survivors begin cleaning up, and the bodies are taken away. Lucy applies a stapler to her stab wound before joining the assembly to request a search group to find her father. However, everyone declines due to the surface's danger. Observing his sister's determination, Norman persuades gatekeeper Chet to secretly open the door for her. Chet attempts to accompany Lucy, but Lucy tranquilizes him and hugs Norman before departing. It's her first glimpse of the outside world, the lifeless shell of a city, the bodies all over the place. Max is training with the Brotherhood of Steel, a group that believes that humanity cannot be trusted with advanced technology. Max is frequently troubled by his fellow cadets, who like to beat him up for fun. One afternoon, a group of planes descend on the training area, and the students see knights wearing T-60 power armor, which inspires them to become knights themselves one day. Moments later, Max and his best friend Dane sneak around to have a closer look at the armor. Later, Max finds that a group of cadets has been picked to become squires and join the knights in the wild. Max feels upset over losing his only friend because Dane is a part of this team. Once they put on their boots the following morning, Dane yells as the boots have razor blades inside them, ruining their plans to get away. The leaders quickly take Max away for questioning because they believe he is the one who did it. Max adheres to his innocence and his loyalty to the Brotherhood. He is shocked upon learning that his remarks earn him a Dane Squire title. After that, Max goes to an initiation ritual. He then goes to a mission debrief where they have to track down a man who escaped the Enclave and is wanted. The group finds out that the man has stolen an extremely dangerous thing that needs to be recaptured in order to prevent a tragedy, and they are also shown a picture of him and his dog. Excited to get started, Max boards an airplane and is paired with a knight. In another scene, a party of bounty hunters approaches a fortress and kills the guard outside. They arrive at the cemetery in search of a renowned bounty hunter who has been imprisoned for a number of years. They discover a burial with 2 IV bags attached and tubes sticking out of the ground as they search the area. The bounty hunters discover this guy is a ghoul, a term used to describe mutated humans. Subsequently, the gang unearths the coffin. When they open the coffin, the ghoul emerges, revealing itself to be Cooper. The group proposes that they join together to secure a hefty bounty for the same person the Brotherhood is looking for. They know the man is heading to California to seek out Moldover, pointing out Cooper used to be from there. Cooper becomes enraged and starts an attack, killing 2 of the hunters and wounding the 3rd, whom he eventually tosses into his grave. Then a flashback reveals that Dr. Wilzig dog, assists with the dog breeding operation in the Enclave. He creates a record to save the life of an underweight dog. CX-404 is the designation assigned to this dog. He makes a tiny, pulsating blue bead and inserts it into his neck. Wilsig and CX-404 then manage to flee the facility while escaping gunfire, and they are currently the criminals that the Brotherhood is chasing. Returning to Lucy, she explores the remains and is horrified to find the bones of a family that took their own lives by poisoning. She is sleeping by a campfire that night when CX-404's growling shocks her. As the dog goes for a mutated roach that is hidden in the area, Lucy turns to see Wilsig staring at her. Wilsig tells Lucy that the wastelands are too hazardous and that she should return home. But Lucy won't go without her father. Wilsig gets to know that the monstrous being is close to them. Meanwhile, Max tries to connect with Knight Titus, but his efforts are rejected. Titus ultimately gets bored and, violating their designated region, requests that the pilot dump them early. Max is grabbed by Titus, and together they leap off the plane and begin to explore the surrounding area. They discover evidence of Wilsig's presence when they arrive at the cave location a short while later. A mutated bear attacks them. Next, Max tries to treat the Knight. Titus holds Max responsible for what occurred. Max chooses not to give Titan the medication since he believes Titan is not worthy to be a Knight, dissatisfied by the Knight's weakness. Max takes the armor and tests its strength after Titus dies. After a long day of walking, Lucy spots a vault tech at a store and enters to ask the clerk where she got it. However, the woman becomes frightened when Lucy brings up Moldover and pushes her out. She meets Wilsig there. In an effort to assassinate Cooper and collect the prize, a firefight breaks out. Then Lucy emerges and shoots Cooper with a tranquilizer. However, the shot has no effect on Cooper. Cooper attempts to fire back, but just in time, Max appears and shoves her aside. Telling Lucy that Wilsig is important, he requests her to keep an eye on him while he battles. Lucy agrees to accompany Wilsig in the hopes that it will lead her to her father. A few hours later, Wilsig abruptly announces that he has been poisoned. He gives Lucy instructions to carry his head to Moldover and alter the future before he passes away. When Cooper and CX-404 finally arrive, all that's left is the headless body of Wilsig. He takes some medication, and then he and the dog begin to walk in Lucy's footsteps over the sand. Lucy, meanwhile, keeps moving forward while carrying the head. She stops to examine it more closely when she gets to the camp, and every time she touches Wilsig's neck, a spark starts striking her fingertips. She inserts a tracker inside the nose for the sake of the case. In Vault 33, the council decides on a penalty. Chet is no longer the gatekeeper, and Norman is assigned rather disgraceful responsibilities, such as delivering meals to the imprisoned invaders. Back to Lucy, she arrives in a flooded city, only to have a monster emerge from the water and seize the head as it runs. Lucy prepares to leap into the sea to retrieve the tracker, but Cooper shows up. However, they were unable to defeat the monster. Max and Thaddeus appear, and the monster attempts to attack them. As it tries to swallow Thaddeus, Max pulls from the other side, causing Thaddeus's feet to strike the monster's throat so hard that it vomits to death. Wilsig's head emerges and CX-404 instantly appears to inspect it. Norman attempts to inspect Vault 32's records, but is denied entry. Then he joins up Chat and they return to Vault 32 to investigate. They examine the Pip-Boy of one of the dead and discover that the last evidence of life was detected 2 years ago, which corresponds to the condition of the vegetation outdoors. This suggests that the place was already in this condition and the raiders did not kill these people. Based on the location of the bodies, it appears that they killed each other. Norman checks the record and discovers that the invaders entered using his mother's Pip-Boy. Max and Thaddeus are at a rail station, where Thaddeus deactivates the armor by removing the fusion core, trapping Max inside. Then Thaddeus departs with Wilsig's head and CX-404. The next morning, Lucy unlocks Max's faceplate but is hesitant to assist him. However, Lucy frees him from the armor just before passing out. Lucy wakes up cured owing to Max's treatments. The two keep walking till they reach Shady Sands. She learns her entire life has been a lie. To calm her down, Max shows her a massive fissure in the damaged city, demonstrating that post-war efforts were ineffective. In fact, he once lived here and survived by hiding in a refrigerator. Later, the inhabitants of Vault 33 vote for their new overseer, and Betty wins with a landslide. Returning to Lucy and Max, the Vault physicians treated their wounds and instructed them to wait until they were certain they did not have radiation. Moments later, they are permitted to proceed to the mess hall for a meal, and Max compares vaults to cults. They get to meet Overvisit Ben, who is the only central eye that verifies this is Vault 4. He explains the restrictions and advises them not to move on to level 12. Lucy takes a closer look and learns that all of the residents are hybrid humans. As she walks about and eventually discovers a lab with human body parts, demonstrating the experimentation of humans. When a scientist arrives for an everyday assessment, she is forced to hide. When she attempts to flee, the scientist hears her, sounds the alarm, and is eventually arrested. In Vault 4, Benjamin and Bertie bound Lucy to a table and forced her to watch a tape. Many years ago, a monster got into the vault and destroyed all of the scientists in the lab. Lucy is perplexed until Ben and Bertie explain that back then, scientists were hybridizing humans with radioactive resistant creatures in order to make them capable of withstanding high radiation levels. However, the experiments went wrong and the creatures eventually killed the scientists. The creature was once human, and the current inhabitants of Vault 4 are simply the survivors of all those horrifying experiments. Lucy apologizes for the mistake, and when asked about the experiment in Vault 33, she replies that there isn't one. Such comments immediately result in her detention. As the guards drag Lucy away, Max begins his task and hurries to steal a power core. At the same time, Lucy is tied up in front of an assembled crowd and sentenced to death, which in this culture means being eliminated to the surface where survival is considered impossible. At that point, the lights go out, and Max storms into the room in his armor, sending everyone fleeing in terror. Max begins trashing the furnishings, but Lucy stops him before things get out of hand, and they return to the surface together. Meanwhile, Thaddeus visits a gas station to examine the wound in his foot caused by the monster. A doctor arrives and takes Thaddeus to an ancient clinic where he administers some medication. Thaddeus consumes it and immediately starts healing. Thaddeus became a ghoul after taking the medication given by the doctor. At that point, the Brotherhood aircraft arrive, and Thaddeus becomes concerned about being killed, so Max decides to let him leave in exchange for Wilzig's head. Lucy manages to get the head to Moldover's base, where humans coexist with ghouls. Hank is locked in a cage, and Moldover is eating dinner with a ghoul at the table. Lucy hands the head, and Moldover promptly pulls the small spike from the neck. Before she releases Hank, she needs Lucy to understand the truth, revealing that Hank was not born in the vault. Norman discovers that Vault 31 is full of executives in cryogenic freezing, while Vaults 32 and 33 serve as a breeding pool. They are genetically selected to breed with the buds in order to develop a class of super managers, individuals who will inherit the world after the surface has been cleaned. All of this implies that the bombs were deliberately dropped by the government to create a genuine monopoly. Returning to Moldover, she employs Will's X-cold fusion on the computer, but before she can complete the procedure, the Brotherhood comes on their plane. A brawl breaks out as both factions begin fire. Thanks to the Knight's armor, the Brotherhood quickly makes their way inside, killing everyone who gets in their way. Max takes advantage of the opportunity to take the stairs and find Lucy. While they chat, Hank wears knight armor and attempts to take Lucy. Max rushes to her defense, but Hank quickly knocks him down. Cooper appears at this point and shoots Hank in the cheek, causing him to back away. Cooper demands to know where his family is, but instead of responding, Hank takes off in the armor. Cooper then notices that more Brotherhood aircraft are approaching, so he requests Lucy to join him in searching for Hank so that they may complete the conspiracy investigation. Lucy pulls a revolver and puts Rose out of her suffering before leaving with Cooper. Moments later, Max awakens to witness Moldover rush to the computer to start the cold fusion, which turns on all power to a close-by city. Unfortunately, she then bleeds to death. Dane and other soldiers arrive at that point, believing Max killed Moldover and declaring him a hero. Meanwhile, Lucy and Cooper arrive in Hollywood while Hank heads to New Vegas. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of the movie Fallout 2024. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video, and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, light, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.